Esmeralda immigrated to America when she was 2. She came from Nicaragua with her parents who left their country to flee the violence, find better jobs, and provide a more hopeful future for her. As she grew up, she became passionate about education, and because of the protection that the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, gave her and 1 million other undocumented immigrants that came to the US as children, she felt confident that she would get the resources she needed to excel in school. She first got her AA, then BA, then Master's, and is currently working toward a PhD in education. She feels that a lot of her motivation is because of DACA. This policy allowed her to no longer feel the fear of being deported, or worse, simply having no hope. But her fear has returned. In 2017, President Trump announced the removal of DACA. There are around 12 million undocumented immigrants in the US. Of those, Esmeralda is just one of nearly 1 million other children that were brought here by their parents illegally. And there are another 4 million US-born children of undocumented immigrants. There was a long history of immigration into the region we call today the US. This started with the Native Americans who crossed the Bering Strait thousands of years ago. This was followed by the first Europeans to arrive hundreds of years ago. After the US became a country, immigrants continued to flow into the region both legally and illegally. But this was not always something the US government or its citizens were happy about. Over the past 300 years, US citizens have denounced the behavior, impact on economy, and the religion of different immigrant groups. Irish, German, Chinese, Jewish, Japanese, Mexican, and even groups who offered a different view on politics like socialists and communists. And of course, after 9/11, our borders tightened up and another group began to face similar denunciations: Muslims. The fact that as a country we are suspicious of immigrants, whether documented or not, is not something that we should be surprised about. Our history proves this. But despite this, immigrants still make their way to the US. The question is, why would anyone want to come to the US without proper documentation if they know there are consequences for breaking such a law, and they know that historically Americans are not that friendly toward outsiders? Well, it turns out that the possible consequences that come from entering and living in the US without the legal documentation outweighs the choice of staying in their home country. Most immigrants come here for better opportunities of employment, more freedom, avoidance of political oppression, freedom from violence, famine, and even family reunification. Many Americans say, however, that undocumented immigrants destroy American jobs, or at least the bargaining power of the American worker. It's also common to hear that they waste the taxpayers' dollars because they use our public services. If all of this were true, it would make sense to be wary of the influx of undocumented immigrants. But what do the facts say? According to a report put together by the Congressional Budget Office, the taxes undocumented immigrants pay exceed the cost of the services they use. You see, undocumented immigrants actually pay taxes. But why? Well, first, it's the law. Second, it helps their case if they ever appear in front of an immigration judge. After all, many immigrants want to stay here permanently. Third, many undocumented immigrants want to fulfill their civic duties. And fourth, just like you and me, they want their yearly tax refund. Another study done by UC Davis shows that if we didn't have undocumented immigrant workers, the US economy would slow and many American jobs would be terminated. Think about it like this: undocumented immigrants have jobs. Without those jobs, they couldn't pay for things. If they can't pay for things, other businesses suffer. And this means that businesses that rely on money from undocumented immigrants will most likely have to fire employees in order to stay afloat. Okay, it seems that immigrants, both legal and illegal, help our economy. But many are also criminals, right? Just look at MS-13 in the gangs of East LA. Well, it might be true that there are a lot of undocumented immigrants that are criminals. After all, out of the 12 million that are here, a few must cause some trouble. The fact is that less of them commit crimes than native US citizens do. But what about those friendly to undocumented immigrant sanctuary cities? It turns out that a city with sanctuary status has no effect on crime rates. So why would anyone want to kick out a family like Esmeralda's who has fought so hard to create a life for themselves here in the US? That is a question for another video. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in my sources, I've linked to them below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It makes a huge difference. Also, I've got a new website I put together which you should check out. On it, you can sign up and be the first to receive a personalized email from me when I publish a new video.